Okay, looks like we're live, and not as smooth a start as last time, but what can you expect? Hey, everybody, thank you for being here. I want to say hello, fellow Slots enthusiasts. It's great to hang out with you for another Professor Slots podcast episode, which is what this will become, and the live stream, which is what this is. So this Q&A session is every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on my John Friedel Professor Slots YouTube channel. And if you're here live, it's great to hang out with you guys and talk about slots-related topics. So here, if you're live, you're able to chat. Leave me a message and tell me some of your questions, and we'll go over those. Although I do have a few things I do want to cover today before we get to too much of that. Also, I started this by saying, hello, fellow slots enthusiasts, but I've been getting more names to try out on what to call you. So I could have said, hello, slot whisperers. Hello, slot tribe. Hello, slot commanders. Hello, smart slot souls. Still a tongue twister. Hello, one-arm bandit brigade. Hello, slot hunters. Hello, the wizard squad. I don't quite understand that one. You're the wizard. I'm the wizard. Who's the wizard? Is that a copyright violation for the Wizard of Odds? Hello, slot masters. Hello, jackpot runners. That makes an assumption, though. Hello, slot advantage players. Dr. John's slot posse and slots army. There are a few others that are longer or shorter, but that's about a dozen that I've been collecting from your suggestions. So hello, everyone. Please say hello in chat if you're live. Please include which state you're in, your name and what you want to call yourself, in which state you're in. Just to sort of introduce yourself to each other as well as us. Remember, the live chat is only during the live session. It is not something that can be seen later. Thank you, Chuck, about the audio. I appreciate that. I'm getting slightly better. We may have some interesting audio today. It looks like there's a chance of severe thunderstorm, and I have turned off my weather radio because it does that bee-oo, bee-oo, bee-oo sound, and we would have to wait for that to be done. So I've turned that off, but I've got a good view of the sky. You might be able to see that reflected in my glasses, and I will keep an eye out for things. If I have to seek shelter, that would be an unusual live stream. And if you have a moment, please do like the stream, simply because YouTube takes that as a sign that to let more people know, so more people come to the live stream, if you would. And while you're at it, subscribe to my channel. You will be finding out, you'll be seeing more notifications. You'll be seeing notifications of upcoming videos when I start bringing those up. It's going to become 2 to 3 a week, starting on, tomorrow. Tomorrow should be the first one. And then I'll try to make that a Sunday, should be a Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday sort of situation. Sundays and Tuesdays probably forever. And Thursdays for a while, maybe 6 months or so. And then after that, I'll probably be doing webinars on Thursdays. So I'll be posting those shortly. It's something I've been meaning to do. Certainly wanted to get better at Q&As, which is what we're here for today. So let me go quickly through. Scott was here first, by my count, about 10 minutes early. Good for you. Scott, thanks for buying my book. Thank you for reading my book. We'll have to talk about that, what you thought. Lois and Dave, welcome back. Welcome home to Toronto from Florida. And hopefully my father, who they trained on how to use his iPad, will be able to join. That would be awesome. Let's see. Hey, Steve. Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Unless you're in UK, I'm not sure if Larry's here, in which case it would be good evening. Right. So, Scott, well, I read the entire book in one day to keep it fresh in my mind. I kept thinking it would be more tips, I guess. Never thought of the idea of same time next week for the jackpot. Yeah, I didn't think of the idea either. It was just obvious that's what was happening at a horseshoe casino. I don't know if I mentioned it was a horseshoe casino. So other horseshoe casinos may do that as well, because it's, business practices. If you haven't bought the book or read the book, we're just talking about some of the concepts. It's also in some of the things I'll be talking about today. Let's see, Scott, rain in Southwest Missouri again. Yeah, we've had some rain here as well. We're talking. Scott says I was once able to see because they left it. Apparently a slot machine open on a machine, the time and dates of jackpot hand pays. Yeah, they did that at Horseshoe, Southern Indiana. They would actually post them on the side of the ones in the high limit room, and did not think of to take a photo. Just was interesting. Again, every, and this is just, and they might not have posted those if it mattered. On the other hand, it's surprising what the right hand does and the left hand doesn't know. And sometimes I've seen those like taken down by other members of the leadership team when they're like, no. So that would better understand the payouts. Okay, when you say payouts, there's a couple of different things you could be talking about. If you buy a slot machine, this is not one that's central. You have about 6 different settings on what the odds of payout would be, and you have to look at state law to see what is allowed as far as a range. But the state does not say 85%. Does not say 85%, even when about 6 different choices on the older slot machines. I think they've gotten to be more of those, about slot machines from about 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But then 7 years ago, they started having these central servers. So I'm not sure if they probably went to more settings, but there was at least 6. So you 85% to 100% if there is an upper level, and pick one. And the casino, chooses. We're all pretty tough on slot machines, and we are concerned. It's important to us, but it's not. They can't set it at 85%. You have a state law that says 80. Casino would just be terribly upset. So it's usually above that, and it's not too high because they have to make money, and that is how they set payouts. If you don't have I'm just giving you James. I'm just giving you the gist of it. Okay. Okay. I'm having a bit of an error in my stream health. I hope this works. I'm getting an error as far as having great video, but hopefully the audio is coming through. So James, that's how these things are set up, even before requirement, which probably is more important than anything else, because they have daily financial performance metrics. So that's basically it. Now, understand that nobody really talks about this except me. Everybody else is like, well, pick a machine. Which game do you like? Which is the game that you win on? And I'm like, well, the one on the end of the row. Yeah, and that would be the one the casino would change the odds on. And I'm the only one who really thinks this way. I'm trying to build based on this, but people, up until a few years ago, nobody really talked about this. The people who win at slots know about it, but they don't, discuss it. So I'm going to move away from that, James, but feel free to ask me questions, read my articles, read the book, and you begin to see it's a different way of looking at slots. I'm a little surprised more people aren't talking about it. Anyway, Chuck, Minnesota is officially shut down today. Scott, I do know this one was paying out hand pays pretty regular. My problem, and I'm not afraid to admit, is not stopping when I am up. Hey, we all have that. How many times, when I first got started, I won something and I'm like, well, this is just what happens. I'm lucky. And wow, it took a long time to sort of come around to the casino wanted me to win, not me. And the slot machine is visible from an area. It's obvious that, to me anyway, that it's the one that the casino is set up. I used to consider, that it was me somehow. But I picked the slot machine. That's about it. Hey, Paul is here. Awesome. I think that's this is your first time here. Right. So let's see. Hey, Jay. Sorry to call you James. Jay from Louisiana. Awesome. Nice state with some good state regs, gaming regs. That's good. Yep. Dave is from Ontario. John Friedel Sr. is in Florida. Steve. Hi, Steve from Charlotte. Doug from Minnesota. Hey, Doug. Sure. David and Lois. David, again, not the. I wonder if it's the storm. Not the best audio, but it looks like it might be not the best video, but hopefully the audio is coming through okay. Dave, Richard, yep, from Western North Carolina. Possible reopening May 1st. Starts taking, yep. I've been hearing a lot of casinos are setting up, you can start make reservations now and they'll have a date. They are eager to get back into it, as are we. Are other people feeling that? Because I'm feeling that. I'm missing the casino. Denise, let's see, Scott, sorry. I am going on safari one night midweek when it gets back going to just record hand pace. Okay. Denise, yep, that's right. Denise is in Texas, but she plays in Oklahoma. All right. Doug, from Missouri, play in Missouri and in Kansas. Dave, hi, Dave. Dave is from Oregon. 65 hand pays last year. Hey, that's pretty good. But I rarely come home with money. Money management. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to talk about, because one of them will be for money management tips, and we can talk about that and how to progressively get a little better at money management, hopefully. Welcome, Jay. Yeah, sorry. Thanks for letting me know, Scott. There is a note on my instrument here saying YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Hopefully that evens out. All right. I will continue. What else can we do? Hey, Joanna, welcome. Scott, if you win 200 to 300 a time and you go 5 to 6 times, well, bingo. I'm not sure I quite understand that one, Scott. Dean, Vegas casinos losing money every day during the shutdown. Governor says stay closed. Vegas mayor says we need to open soon or else. I hear you. I'm in the aviation industry. That's what I work in, and planes are not flying much at all. And excellent. Yes, Scott, I have some thoughts on that. I wrote it into a post. So let me switch over to maybe something a little better on. Right. So what I have done in the last week, hopefully this will switch over for you in a moment. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, it's a 20-second delay. So, right. So now you should have, okay. Now you should have a image of my other screen, which is of my website. One of the things I try to do is talk about my, and I think I got a couple people on chat here who are interested. One of the things I like to talk about is all the things that I have to offer, and I don't always mention them. So I'll very quickly mention I have a webpage, professorslots.com, and I'll type that in so you have it, because if you listen closely, you might hear thunder in the background. So I put the link into the live chat, professorslots.com, and that's what I'm showing on the screen now. That's my main page. One of the things that you can do is there's a menu here. There's a menu there's a menu right there, and this is what it looks like on a mobile phone. It's a little bit more open on a desktop. And so you can choose to go to articles here, or to find all my articles, or you could go a little bit further down the screen. These are my main, let's see, is it not updating? Oh, I see. Right. So if you slide down the screen, there's a video of me giving you a little bit of a welcome. There's where you can go about listening to my podcast episodes. I've got about 83. Tomorrow will be 84. And you can go to any place you go to get podcasts, and that's what these are. I probably should take them out because I put a note that says, anywhere you get podcasts, I am at. Then the last few podcast episodes are also here. And then is a list of I think it's about 12, my last 12 posts. And some of these are articles. These first 3 here that I'm showing are articles, and we'll talk about each one of those. Scott was talking about this third one, the Strategy 7. We'll talk about the others. And if you slide down, then there's 2 more articles, and then I make a post for each podcast episode. So this next one is podcast episode. The last one is number 83. And then if you slide down a little bit further, you'll see several more. So do we have? I think we might have money management in here. Yes. So for was it Jay or Scott, and others. There is this article here, 11 practical slots money management tips to keep your winnings, because it's obviously a need, and I wanted to show that. So I will jump over to that article, and we should be updating momentarily. Okay, so all right. So if you look at this article, you will see what I've put together as far as being prepared, what to do immediately upon arrival, what to do while playing slots, and then also an after-action briefing, which is what I call it. So, evaluate how you did as far as meeting your goals on money management. And Dave Oman says, it's hard to stop after you win a jackpot. I have a pocket full of $100 bills. That is true, and that's one of the suggestions I have. I'm not going to read the article to you because I have several articles I want to cover here. But one of the suggestions I have is to train yourself, to give yourself a habit. If I'm very briefly going to switch over to me again. So you can have this. Okay, it is a lockable wallet. There is another one I have here, which is it has a key, and there's a space about this big. I could get about 100 bills in there. There's a slot in the top, and you fold it up and you stick it in. And these are this is the second one's a gamble box, and the other one is a winner's circle 2000, something like that. I don't recommend them. I just want you to know. Let me try that again. So gamble box, it holds about this much, maybe 100 bills. It's got a slot at the top. The idea here is that you leave the key at home. But you also have this one. Again, you have a slot in the top, and there's even a card that comes with it, and then you push it in there. It even holds even less, so it don't have access to it. But I don't think that's entirely appropriate. I think that I'm going to go back to the other screen. I don't think that's entirely appropriate. I've done it without having something like that. There's limitations on these where it's the key. Maybe you actually do need it, although you have to watch out for that feeling. But the idea is, I suggest, is you've got 2 pockets, all right? Maybe a pair of jeans, men's trousers, pants, and one pocket is for deposit, and the other one is your bankroll. So you only put stuff in one pocket, and then you don't take anything out. That is what you use that pocket for. It can take a little bit of effort. A few times, I would take something out and I'd be like, no, that was the pocket that I'm supposed to just only deposit in. But it takes a few times, but once you get into the practice, you hesitate putting your hand in that pocket other than to deposit something. And then it takes maybe it only took me like 3-4 times. I was surprised how effective it was. 3-4 times, and then you don't take anything out of it. Yeah. Now, at the end of the day, maybe you put vouchers in there and you have to cash out. But you have to sort of get through that few minutes there. But if you can get through hours of not taking anything out of that pocket. Now, the only warning I would say is don't put anything in that pocket that you want out. That when it goes in, you make a hard decision. This I want to keep. I'm not going to change my mind about this. This is what's going to go into that pocket, and I'm going to leave it there. Don't put it in there if you don't think you will do that. And then later on, several times you go to the casino, that becomes your pocket that you put deposits in. And I was surprised how well that worked. It's human nature to sort of, discipline yourself. So when you, that's one of the things I talk about here. I've just moved this up so you can see I have sections, many sections. I did say that there would be 11 practical tips, and these are the 11 practical tips. Some of them have to do with what to do before you go to the casino, what you do when you immediately go to the casino. There's visiting the card kiosk, and also there's more than one money management strategy. Pick one, commit to it, and then when playing, there's a couple other things you can do about choosing how you want to save that money, like having loss limits per slot machine. Hey, I'm only going to spend $20 on this slot machine. I'm only going to spend $200 on that slot machine. I'm going to only spread, pick your strategy and then stick with it. Different bankrolls for whether it's high limit or not. And you can choose to not put anything in your pocket unless you have let's say you're playing high limit. You win your bankroll. Maybe you choose to put that in your pocket, and after that, whatever's left is what's left. And you can choose to then play whatever you win because you put in your pocket what you brought in. And, that is one strategy. So pick what works for you, but stick with it. And this is, any one of these strategies is going to be, have a pocket that's only deposit. You just have to choose when are you going to use it. Constantly, I have $20 out of every machine I play on. $20 goes in my pocket, or choose. And I try to go over some of the main ones that people use. There's things like sometimes there's emotional control. Hey, I'm a winner. I'm lucky. I can't lose. And you just sort of have to recognize that one. One of the ways you can do that is have accountability with somebody you go play slots with, somebody you don't play slots with, somebody, a spouse, family member, someone who holds you accountable. Hey, did you stick with your discipline? What was your plan? What was your strategy? Did you stick to your strategy? And when you have to explain yourself to somebody, even if it's just a friend, that is important. And as I say, practice, practice, practice. So let's see if there's any questions and see how well let's see how well things are holding up on the live stream. Okay, I'll check with questions on this one. It's hard to stop after you win a jackpot. Yep. Yeah, Scott, I wear cameo pants with all the pockets right side, spending left. Yeah, exactly. But maybe you're jumping around. I don't know. Maybe you're jumping around in strategy. What's your method, and stick with it. From the beginning of your session to the end of your session. if that's, identify where the issue is. Let's see. Yeah. Scott, I learned that one. No credit card or bank ATM card in casino ever. Yes. That's a fine rule to have. Some people don't like walking through the parking lot with cash and might use an ATM, not a credit card, an ATM withdrawal from their checking account, although there might be a fee, depending. And sometimes that's a way to not carry cash in the parking lot or the parking structure for $200 or something. Of course, there's limits, and you really can't do that if you could play high limit because you can't withdraw. There's a limit how much you can withdraw on an ATM, usually. Robert, how can I, let's see, let me try this, switch back and forth a little bit. Robert says, how can I find out my casino's gaming returns? When it is an Indian casino, Ak-Chin Casino in Arizona, that is also a Harrah's casino. So it's owned by Ak-Chin tribe and operated by Harrah's. There is some, North Carolina has something like that. Even if it's from the tribe, there's a very few states that have gaming compacts with tribes that require them to report return statistics to the state. I would think there would be none, but there actually, you can go to professorslots.com/Arizona or professorslots.com/AZ. Either one should work. And that'll take you to my article, which Arizona I would have written like towards the end of last year. I do it every year, one per week, and there's 56 of them, with including the there are plenty of people like Oklahoma has tribal casinos, and they don't either have a theoretical payout, nor are return statistics provided publicly. And that's actually pretty typical for tribal. And and we could go there if you wanted to and just take a look around and see what you have. If you don't have it, well, most places don't have it. A few places, Louisiana, Mississippi, and others have it so good. They even have it down to return statistics by slot machine. There's the storm. Okay, so Doug, are all Oklahoma casinos closed currently nationwide? Slot machines, right? A little building out back. At a convenience store, and those might be open. Otherwise, I think what's going to be interesting is, we talked earlier about early May, might be when reservations are being taken, but it might closed, a few closed, a lot closed, the last one's closed, but I think we're going to go through this. We're going to go through the same thing, but in reverse. Is this one open? Is that one open? A few are open. A lot are open. All of them are open. He says he tried online casinos, but something seems fishy about them. ? Yeah, good instinct. If you are interested, and a lot of states don't allow you to actually do it, why don't you let the professionals decide? If you go to my professorslots.com/NJ for New Jersey, and under the payout returns, under other gambling, New Jersey Gaming Commission section on online gambling, businesses that they have verified, that they have scrutinized and say these people are not criminals, these people are not shifty, these are recommended. I don't know if necessarily I should say recommended so much as verified and validated. Businesses, not fly-by-night, not fishy. And that's a place to start. I mean, outside of that, it's all kind of word of mouth. I like that a gaming commission somewhere has identified, we like the atmosphere. We like, having a business practice we can take advantage of. We like other people. At least, being around, sometimes we like it when it's quiet. Sometimes we like this, that, drinks or food or buffet. We like brick and mortar casinos. Online is a game, and you're going to, I'll try to say things in a way that I'll have a rumble of thunder after I say them. How about that? So, I will have to check to see how we're doing after we finish recording to see. I hope the audio came through okay, and I hope that the video came through okay. So let's of the 7 articles that I posted in the last week, and that you can scroll through, there was another one. Some of you are experts at slot machines. Others of you haven't ever played a slot machine. You're just getting started, and I'm trying to help people understand, the various sections. I made a schematic. There's the service light, there's the bonus display. You don't always have one of those. Pay table somewhere. If it's digital, it's usually hidden. If it's not digital, then it's a little bit easier to find. Just a panel, a plastic sheet above the reels. You got a Players Club interface. You've got the results. Sometimes that's pretty small. Might be a little screen that blinks a number. When you wonder why the machine locks up, it's because it's showing something $1,200 or more. There's a play console. That's where we, push all the buttons and choose the number of credits and number of lines. Both, neither. There's a ticket in, ticket out. And I tried to do a little schematic here. It's not the best thing in the world. It's probably the first graphic I did for my book, just to try to show you an example of what you might see. There's a lot of different settings. The reason why I just didn't take a picture of a slot machine is because it's copyright protected, and I can't publish that in a book legally and without having a copyright infringement, $100,000 fee per instance. And I'd rather not do that. So here I just go through each of these. You can see on the left side here, there's a bonus at the top. There's a service light, also known as a candle, bonus display, pay table, Players Club, results, play console, voucher out. And then I have sections on each of these here, and I won't go through them individually, but it gives you an idea of what to expect on a slot machine when you've never really seen one before. It seems to me when my first year or so of playing slot machines, it was pretty extraordinary for me. Experience to for me. I think for all of us, when we first remember that first time you played, it's pretty interesting. So there's a lot of smoke, a lot of lights, dark at the same time with all the lights, flashing lights, sounds. And sometimes you're not really looking at the slot machine going, well, this one has a pay table or doesn't have a pay table. This one has physical reels or is it video? And sometimes you just need to be outside of the casino and just sort of say, well, there's a player's card interface. I didn't use a player's card back in 2004 before I took my 10-year break because I moved to a part of the country that didn't have a good casino. But I thought about that extraordinary time of winning 13 hand pays on a dollar machine in 6 days, and then nothing on the 7th day. And, what the heck's going on? It was what I call, it was a machine that was set up to win near the bar at Prairie Meadows. And let me switch back here. And when I played that, do I have that? I might have that here. I have some photos. Do I have it here? I think maybe. Yeah. So at Prairie Meadows, I won a slot machine, or won a taxable jackpot on a 5 times play, $1 denominator. Anyway, it's that one was November 11th, 2005 at 5:13 p.m. And then basically I have others, and I'm kind of digging them out here. Didn't really have them handy to show you. I really should not have done that because I could have a bucket of those. Anyway, I took a screen capture of some of those and put them on one of my articles just to show you a row of them. There's something about winning 5 hand pays in a day, and you're like, but what's going on? I don't understand. And after a few years of thinking about it and realizing that it wasn't entirely luck, that it was a casino business practice, it made me start looking for other casino business practices because the odds, it just wasn't working. It was statistically odd. You can get struck by lightning 7 times in a row, but there are times when it's like there's a bias, and you can find that and use it to your advantage. And Took me a little while to sort of get my head around the idea. It might take you too. Let's see. Questions. Let's see. Dave, right? Me, and then she has a big smile. How do I put this in a high level? For Paula's a non-gambler, a friend of mine, who might be helping out later with some chat things and the business side of things. And there are plenty of people who gamble a lot, haven't been aware of the change. So it's always been there. There is the ability in video poker. It's not the same thing. If you have a deck of cards and you shuffle them properly and you give everybody a hand, that's the universe determining the odds. Okay, the dice. I know people think dice control, but when you throw a dice, it's the universe doing its odds thing. But if you have a slot machine, it's an electronic device, and you can adjust the odds. If you have to sort of understand statistics to understand that you're changing the frequency distribution to be a little more inclined this way or that way or bimodal or Gaussian. And so casino, first off, has control over the slot machines, whether it's a central computer or just opening it up and changing the odds, setting the odds to be a certain range, a higher range, a lower range, anything that's basically legal. And then you win. I'm trying to think of a common example. It's hard to, it's all gambling. So casinos have a range that's set by law. If it isn't, and a lot of them are set by law, state gaming regulations or tribal gaming compacts. Some of them don't have either of those, particularly some tribes, some states, but they do have business practices. So if everybody lost their money to the casino, everybody would walk out and not come back. So of course they can't do that, and but they can't even bring it down to 85% because it gives the feeling of just losing, and nobody likes losing. People like to win a little, and so there's numbers that work for that part of the state. But they don't make money, and then things will move around based on the economy and the time of the year and whether people are on vacation or it's cold winter, sunny day. And so it's not just season to season, but day to day. And you can, once you're aware that they have that kind of control and that they're trying to adjust their daily performance metrics, then you can counter that. We call it advantage plays. I'm a little surprised at you, Paula. Paula edited my book for me, but she was looking for comments and stuff. Scott knew a guy played $25 machines, 300 at a time. He would put in. He says lots of nights he just broke even. But people see those lights and bells go off and think they can. If he can, I can. Absolutely, yeah. And casinos can make money by that because players, commonly don't realize, hey, if he's playing a white buffalo, then I'll play a white buffalo somewhere else in the casino, and it'll be the same thing, right? No, it's the one he was playing. And it's just I'm just trying to get the word out and helping people win. Richard, odds of winning better on the first day of a casino of reopening or better? Now, Richard, we talked about that last time. My best guess at this point is if casinos reopen, if a casino reopens towards the beginning of the month, it's going to be tight because they got the whole rest of the month to be loose. And they've got a lot of money to make up because they lost a lot of money, and I can appreciate that business aspect. But if they open later in the month, there is no later time. They either have to meet the state gaming requirements or the tribal gaming compact or their own business requirements to not be too tight. And if it's at the end of the month, that's when it's going to be better. So either way, end of the month is going to be better than the beginning of the month, even if they're open at the beginning of the month. And that's my thoughts on that. We'll know more as things start opening up. Let's say one state opens, but the another state does not, opens, and then we can see if that applies to the next casino a week later, next state. Bruce, hey John, would you expect the Oklahoma casinos will be more open to winning after the shutdown? You're welcome. He says thanks for your site. You're welcome. Yes. So end of the month, I would say. That's our best thinking. If we can, if your state starts opening casinos, and it'll happen, could be weeks, but it'll happen. Take one for the team. If your state's the first state with a casino that opens, let us know how it goes so the rest of the states, which haven't opened yet, will know what they might do. So we're going to have to watch that roll out very carefully once it starts happening, and report back. Like you all did fabulously when things were closing. When things are opening, report back, because they won't all open at once. Might even be over a longer period opening than it was that it closed. I think they all closed in like 2 weeks, 10 days, something like that. Okay. Ray, I was told that Las Vegas controls the payouts on a daily basis at my local casino. Does that sound right to me? If you have a central server, and at this point it's great to see almost every casino having them, except for the ones that can't, because you have to basically put the wiring under the floor. And if you're a riverboat, you don't have a floor, you have a hull, and they just want to have central servers. But if you have a central server, then you can change it multiple times a day. It's no people involved, nobody opening doors on slot machines and resetting them and just going through 3,000 slot machines, and it takes a week or 10 days. Let's see. Let me make sure I lost track where I was at. In Las Vegas, two things are going on. They can control the theoretical payout on a slot machine multiple times per day, because I don't know of Nevada's. The only ones that don't have the ability to have that is riverboat casinos, and almost everything else has. It's been in 2012, only a couple have had that, but every casino I've gone to that wasn't a riverboat casino has made the switch. There might be some out there. There might be some out there that I haven't gone to, but it looks like almost everything is switched over, because it's so much of an advantage for the casino. And so they adjusted the theoretical payouts. Again, this is what does payout mean? And I have payouts and I have returns. Okay, payouts is the theoretical. Returns are the statistics of what actually happened. That's what I call these two. So they control the theoretical payouts. That results in return statistics, and they report on a daily basis. The returns on a weekly basis. In Nevada, they report on a weekly basis to the state Gaming Commission, and the state reports to the people on their online website each month. So they have to meet their weekly requirements for the Nevada Gaming Commission weekly, but then it's reported monthly. And that's why they tighten it up on the weekends for when California comes to visit in Las Vegas, and loosen it during the week for the locals when the people from California aren't there, and maybe some conference goers, to try to encourage them to gamble while they're at their conference and working. That week averages out to the state requirement. And that's how it works. And I don't know anybody else who talks about this. I'm trying to grow the audience. That's why I want to come up with more videos, trying to grow the audience so I can get the word out. It's not a fantastic idea. It's pretty obvious. But once you get across the idea that it's not luck, I mean, there's always luck, but there's these trends and business practices, and casinos are counting on you thinking it's luck. This is not shuffling a deck of cards and laying down some cards. It's not that. It's just a little bit of that. I had to figure out a graphic or display or a way to say all this a little bit better. Glad you got your answer, Paula. Yes, Scott, when it's successful, people get it, but it's a little bit of a hard sell. You've got a lot of people who don't think this way. What I have noticed is a lot fewer people scream at me now than they did 5 years ago. What was it? I started about I wrote the book 4 years ago. Yeah, I published it 4 years ago, wrote it 5 years ago, and I would say, this stuff, and I would have people just blow up at me. I went to Gamblepalooza and Foxwoods, and people were just like upset, and I'm like, why are you so upset? This helps you. Well, it doesn't work that way, and I'm like, it used to not work this way. Now it does. What do we call that? What change? Change is hard. And I wasn't trying to mock them. Change is hard. So I think I kind of caught up on the questions. I have a couple articles that I put out this week where were slot machines invented. Actually, that was, it started in San Francisco. But when did we get the microchip? When did we get the random number generator? When did we get two screens? Australia provided that one, and then shortly later, came in. When did Nevada get set up with the Flamingo having a slot machine in 1934? This is the many inventions of slot machines and where they came from. Charles Fay. But the Bell Fruit Gum back in Prohibition in 1920 to 1932, the golden age of slots. And the reason why all this is important is the innovations and technologies that are going into slot machines. We've just spent almost an hour talking about them with the central server and wiring things up. Somebody's talking to me about facial recognition, if Linda's on. Talking about facial recognition and some of the more recent slot machines from Scientific Gaming, where maybe you don't need to use a player's card eventually because it'll recognize your face, like an ATM machine right there in front of you. Let's see if I can switch this over conveniently. So, right in front of your face is a camera, and that's the only way facial recognition works. The camera in the ceiling, it's not doing top of your head recognition. That doesn't work. You need to be basically, it's like this camera that's in front of me now, or your iPhone that has facial recognition. It's just got to be like right there. And what do you know? Slot machine screens are. But this other stuff about, even casinos get this wrong. They buy these multi-million-dollar facial recognition systems, with cameras in the ceiling, and none of them work, and they aren't technically proficient enough to understand that they just wasted a lot of money. Scott says, could you do one of these Q&As on a weeknight? Probably can't with your job. I will be doing webinars in about 4 audience, same time, same day. Once you build up that, you want to keep that same time. It's very important, being regular. And so I have been. This is my 19th weekly Saturday, 2 o'clock Q&A, the last 19 Saturdays. So I think we're going to be doing this. I was very concerned about March Madness. People were like, well, if I have to make a choice, and we don't have March Madness this year. So I'll pick this time. One of the things I was considering doing was doing a 4-hour session once a year. And I haven't really decided when we might do that, but just to have a longer period. But I think what you're asking for is more than just something on Saturdays. So that I understand that need, and that is something I'm planning for. So I will be posting on Sundays, on Tuesdays, and until I start doing webinars in months from now, on Thursdays, a new video. And it'll give you something, and you can comment. And then as I grow to the point, and please subscribe, please like this video. As I grow, I will eventually be allowed to have a community on YouTube, and then we can have a lot more discussions, because that tab doesn't open until you get a certain number of subscribers. Dave has a question. Getting a lot of attention, Dave. And I do have a if you wanted to have a conversation, Dave, I do have consulting, professorslots.com/consult. I wasn't going to try to advertise these things today, but if you have lots of questions, I have answers, and we can just sit down and talk for 50 minutes. It's a paid service. But Dave says, I've noticed the change in payouts at my local Indian casino. It seems more random, almost computer controlled with the change, opposed to someone turning a knob. I don't really see it as random. The connection I have found has been the size of the crowd. So I have some of my strategies have to do with understanding if you have a big night, you have a slow night. Is it right after a big night, right after a slow night, and just sort of that pattern, because it's a business practice, so it has something to do with the business, and that's the sort of thing that I connected to. Now, if you can't find a pattern, I'm trying to show people. I figured out some patterns, many, and I'm writing them all down so you can look for them. There's always a possibility of a few more. I think I captured a lot of them, but there's subtleties at your casino that you'll need to watch for. But with 7, 8, 9, 10 examples of what to look for, you might be able to dig into what your casino is doing. Also, there's another possibility that it doesn't have a pattern. And that's something to watch out for too, because it's not about you. It's not about you making it happen. It's either happening or it isn't, and you have to uncover it. So your ability to observe and watch and consider and uncover the pattern, that's kind of where we're at. Let's see, Dean, any new slot names for the group? The slot detectives. Okay. I don't know if you're here the first minute or so, but I started by saying, hello, fellow slots enthusiasts. And then I went through 12 others, and I believe you're on here, but I don't remember you saying the slot detectives. Actually, it does sound familiar. So I will add to my list slot detectives. And I'm not quite able to keep up with who said what, but I'm trying so I can give credit to whomever comes up with one. So now I've got 13, lucky number 13. If you have an idea for a name for what you would like to be called, feel free to email me or comment in this post, comment in this video, or just get it to us on maybe the slot communities. And right now, for those of you who weren't here, we came up with slot whisperers, slot tribe, slot commanders, smart slot souls. I'm never going to be able to get that right. Too many S's. Say that 3 times fast. One-armed bandit brigade, slot hunters, the wizard squad, slot masters, jackpot runners, slot advantage players, Dr. John's slot posse, slots army, and slot detectives, which I like as being suggestive. All right, let's see. If you don't have any more names, that's fine. But I wanted to see if there was anything else. If you have any questions, do ask. I wanted to quickly see if there was any article I particularly wanted to talk about. We were talking about tribal gaming a moment ago. I have an article. I put together a bunch of stuff, and I decided to call it the Ultimate Guide. Sometimes that helps people understand what it is I'm trying to share. And this is a basic, if you look at the screen, you'll see a few of the topics that this one covers. And what else? This is a quiet time for us, right? We are doing self-learning during quarantines, and maybe you might want to start a podcast. All you need is a computer, microphone, and I think it's like $7 a month with Libsyn. But I have an article about starting a podcast. I call it a recreational gambling podcast because I know you like that. Feel free to start one. It's pretty cheap, and I list out everything that you might need as far as software and hardware to accomplish that. Anyway, slot fans, I got to stay away from copyright violations. Not a Batman. Chuck had said slot fans to the tune of Batman. Thanks, everybody. We are going to wrap up now. Yes, Slot Wizards has... all right. I had the Wizard Squad, Slot Wizards. I will add that one. Thank you. That is... Who said that? Carrie. I want to make sure Carrie gets credit if we end up with that one. And I will talk to everybody. A week from now. We'll see how this next week goes. I'll have 7 more posts coming out daily. Should be another one coming out in about an hour and a half on all the slots communities, but I'll share it in my email on Saturday morning, this next coming Saturday. And last questions here. Chuck says, do machines against the wall, outer ring, pay better than machines located in the midst? Well, if they're located in the midst, that would be unlikely unless there was a major thoroughfare. You and I have talked about this, about visible from a distance, however that might be. Philly T says, thanks, John. Always informative. Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there, everybody. Do take care of yourselves, please. I'd be devastated if anything happened to you guys, any one of you. Ray, I think I have told you before, however, I have definitely noticed that an increase in payouts, hand pays, using some of your concepts and mixing them with mine. All caps, your concepts work. Thank you, John, for sharing. Yeah, I know they work, and I'm trying to get the word out. I'm a little surprised by people who don't like them, but because it seems like an emotional reaction. I'm like, okay, try it. And, if it works, when it works, it sells itself. Scott, next trip to casino, I will be more prepared to figure out what to do instead of a Hail Mary pass. Right. You can always do the Hail Mary pass. You've got odds of winning. But I've heard so many people just say, it doesn't matter which slot machine. I'm like, it does. The one at the end of the row, just move over one. Just please. No? Okay. Don't do it. You're welcome, Doug. Okay, everybody. Great session. Take care. Have fun. Be safe. And have fun. Be safe. Take care.